I remember sitting in the boardrooms at eBay and PayPal, CBS, and sometimes I'd just be looking at my portfolio, right, on my mobile phone. And, I was paper rich, but really I was cash strapped in reality. I had the RSUs, the ESPPs, I had the career, but I didn't feel freedom. And I don't know if anybody watching this video can actually relate, right? I felt trapped. I was a passenger in my own financial life, waiting for a vesting date or for the market to rally so that the shares that I owned would actually increase in value. And I realized that that was one of the things that actually kept me trapped, waiting. But today I have a very different story to tell. Today I live where I want. I work when I choose to. And, it wasn't because suddenly the corporate shares that I owned skyrocketed. It wasn't because of a lucky stock pick. It was a transition from being this passive shareholder to being able to confidently generate my own income based off my portfolio that I currently had. I stopped waiting for the market to give me permission to be free. And I started renting out my shares, right? To generate immediate cash flow. And that is exactly what this program is all about. I want to show you how to do exactly the same thing. And so I want to start with who this actual program is for, right? This program is for anybody that actually owns company shares that has already vested or is in the process of actually vesting. This program is for anybody that actually wants to build financial freedom over time by accumulating assets or shares in a specific company that you believe in, and then learning how to actually leverage those specific assets in order to generate incremental income for yourself on a weekly basis. Yes, I just said on a weekly basis. That is absolutely correct. You didn't hear me incorrectly. You can basically generate weekly income off your current portfolio, right? Off the current assets that you own. It's literally like somebody paying you every single week for renting out something that you already own that you never actually have to sell. It's a strategy that is employed by so many of the larger hedge funds at the moment. There are so many ETFs on the market at the moment that implements exactly the same strategy that I'm going to show you how to do within this program. With that said, I also want to lean into who this is not for, right? Because I want you to get as much value from this program as you possibly can. This program is not for somebody looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. There is no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme, right? It's not somebody that is looking for stock tips, right? I'm not going to be giving you stock tips and saying buy this and then that stock is going to go to the moon and you never have to work again. This program is not for somebody that is looking to sit in front of their computer for hours watching tickers and trying to pull some money out of the stock market via day trading. However, if you do take this program, you will also have access to our full option trading for beginners program, as well as intraday trading. There are some core concepts in there that will help you tremendously as an investor moving forward. So that is who this program is for and also who this program is not for. So with that said, let's jump in, right? So I'm going to make an assumption here that you have been a corporate employee at some point in your life and you have been gifted shares by your corporation, right? So most people think that restricted stock is just a waiting game, right? You're waiting for the company stock to actually increase in value so that you can sell it at some point and gain some capital gains, right? Another problem with that is that yes, there will be a gain, but you will also be subject to tax on that specific gain, right? It is not going to make you any more money than what you actually get from the appreciation of that stock. And I want to show you a better way to actually game the system here. And I want you to think about this in the context of owning a second home. You wouldn't just let that second home sit there for years on end without actually, renting it out. You'd think about being able to actually create some additional income against that specific asset, right? Now your shares is exactly the same thing. Just like renting out your house, you can actually rent out your shares and make a weekly income off that shares without actually selling those shares, right? Mind blown, right? When I first discovered this, I was like, oh my God, why does everybody not do this? And it was more like, why haven't I been doing this earlier, essentially, at the end of the day? So I want to teach you that strategy within this course. and it is going to be a complete game changer for you from a passive revenue generating perspective. It's also not going to keep you locked in front of your computer for hours at a time watching tickers go up and down, right? What we will cover is a lot of the key fundamentals with regards to market structure, when to sell, when to buy, when to hold, when to roll. All of that will be included within this specific program. So you'll know exactly what you're doing by the time you are finished with this program. Okay, so one of the things that I hear a lot from, corporate employees and generally from people in general, right, is the following, is that the stock market is risky, Ricardo. And, you don't know whether the stock market is going to go up or it's going to come down, right? And if you're playing in the stock market, it's like you're gambling. And when I hear this, I always say, yes, you are right? The stock market can be risky. But I equate it to the following. You wouldn't get into a car if you didn't know how to drive, because you wouldn't get to your end destination safely or in time, right? So I believe that we are clever human beings, right? And we're not going to be doing anything silly. We are going to learn how to drive this car in a manner that is safe in order to get you to the destination that you're wanting to be, which is financial freedom, right? This is exactly what this program is about, is to give you the knowledge, the understanding of the market in order for you to navigate your way and then get to a place where you can actually extract money from the stock market on a weekly basis, utilizing your current assets or utilizing assets that you are acquiring along the way. That's exactly what this specific program is designed to do. So one of the other things that I also hear very, very frequently is that I don't have time to watch charts all day, Ricardo. And yes, you know what? That is not the funnest thing to do. We've been on this trading journey for 8+ years now. And in some point in our journey, we've experienced watching tickers go up, down, right? And it's not fun, right? You don't want to do that. So we devised a better way in order to get us to that destination that we wanted to be, which is financial freedom, in a way that didn't include us sitting in front of the computer all of the time, right? So I left my 9 to 5 to get back time, not to spend more time watching red and green candles go up and down, right? This system in this program is designed for busy professionals. And if you have 30 to 60 minutes per week, then this program is exactly what you are looking for. So let me briefly explain what this income generating engine is without getting bogged down in all the minutiae, right? There'll be plenty of time for us to actually do deep dives in how this actually works within the program. But at its simplest form, number one, we are talking about inventory optimization here. We are talking about understanding what your assets actually looks like and how we can actually put them to work, right? You might have eBay shares, you might have PayPal shares, you might have Nvidia shares, you might have Apple shares, you might have Microsoft shares. They are all worth a different rental number within the market. And we're going to sit down and actually work out what that actually is so that you can see exactly how much money you can generate on a weekly basis, right? Number two, we are going to talk about how to rent out those assets, those shares that you actually own. I'll show you how to rent out your assets and get a premium for that every single week. I'll also show you how to buy stock at a discount, which is crazy, but actually true. And the third thing here is that, we concentrate on the tax protocols and the gotchas that you have within the space, right? With regards to when you can trade shares, when you can't trade shares. We navigate the tax laws to ensure that you aren't, handing over more to the IRS than you're supposed to, right? So we'll take care of that as well within this program. There's so much in this program, and there is so much that we have departed to some of our friends and family. And they live a completely different life now because they are able to generate true incremental revenue off the assets that they own. And that is an amazing thing, right? And at this point, there are two distinct options. You can either stay a passive shareholder and continue to ride the roller coaster ride of the market, hoping that your vesting dates aligns with a green market day, right? Or market month, or market year, or market decade. You can keep your wealth locked behind that corporate gateway, essentially. Or two, path B, you can learn the mechanics of the market and you can treat your portfolio like a business and you can start generating income that can replace your actual salary. There are so many Silicon Valley, Bay Area people that could, with this strategy, basically walk away from their jobs today. They just have never been taught how to do that. They just never have been told that it's possible. And maybe they've never even met somebody that has made this a reality in their life, right? This is exactly why I've actually put this together. Because I did not want to do the 9 to 5 grind every single day. I did not want to defer my freedom for years to come, right? I did not want to take on all of the stress that I know is there within the corporate environment consistently, right? It's just something that you learn to live with. And I share this because that was a life that almost killed me, right? And I want to spare you that specific outcome. You know, this is not rocket science. It's not like you can't find this information out there online. I think the differentiator here is that you're actually getting it from somebody that has actually walked the walk and can talk the talk, right? I've been at the senior level executive suites in these large organizations. I understand the stock buyback program. I understand the RSUs. I understand how the markets actually work. I understand how to execute a strategy that is, kind of held behind closed walls, so to speak, by your the broker that might actually be managing your funds today. And they're managing your funds for a good 1 to 2% of your money, right, that they're generating. And you can actually do this yourself. So if Plan B resonates with you, I would love to have you in this program and we'll go through all of the modules together. You'll get access to all of our wealth grid tools and our community of like-minded people, right? And as part of this program, there are also 4 one-on-one hour slots that you can book with either myself or with my wife, Michelle. We are both full-time traders. We basically do this for a living. This is how we actually create the revenue that we have to live wherever we want to live, right? And within those sessions, you can ask us anything. Ask us about our journey, ask us about our portfolio, ask us about what the value is of your current portfolio, and we can give you advice on exactly what that could possibly look like. For example, if you had 100 Nvidia shares, right? And you asked me, Ricardo, what could I rent this out on a weekly basis? And what do you think I could actually make, right? And we've gone through this so many times with so many different tickers, with so many different people that I can basically, for that question, tell you without even thinking about it that, at a delta of, let's say, 25, you're probably looking at a premium that you can get for Nvidia shares of roughly between $89 and $110, depending on what the volatility is for that specific month, right? And if you did the same thing for Microsoft, I could do that. If you did the same thing for eBay, I could do that. If you did the same thing for, Netflix, right? These things we have done so many times that we can actually give you really good guidance with regards to what your net monetization could possibly be per week for the assets that you actually own. Let me give you another quick one. If you own Netflix, for example, Netflix is one of those that you can actually monetize on a weekly basis for roughly about $90, right? Depending on the volatility for that specific week. But think about that. $90, let's just call it an even 100, right? $100 per week, 52 weeks. Your stock has just made you an extra $5,000 for the year, right? You haven't sold it, it's just incremental revenue. Now imagine you didn't just have 100 shares, but you had 1,000, right? the numbers suddenly start adding up really, really quickly. And this is how you replace your full-time income. So the choice is yours. I created this program because I wish somebody had handed me a roadmap when I was at eBay, when I was at PayPal, when I was at, CBS. I wish somebody had done this for me, because it would have shaved off at least 10 years of my corporate career. And I hope that I can be that person for you, where, you can look at your portfolio and go, yeah, right? I can now start living the life that I want to live, where I want to live it, when I want to live it, essentially. And that is exactly what this program is designed to do. And with that, I hope you take me up on the offer. Click the link below. If you still have additional questions, we have a section on the website where you can book a quick 15-minute call with myself or with Michelle if you wanted to get a little bit more information about the program itself. And with that, I hope to see you within the program and get to know you a bit better. Cheers.